All right, what's
Let's
up,
go,
John?
Daniel, let's
All
go.
right, my name is Daniel Fritz. I'm here at SmartVault. I'm the Director of Products, and I'm here with the awesome Dawn Brolin, the designated motivator. And we're here just to talk about a few questions that are coming up. Dawn, what do you think how technology is really shaping the future of the accounting industry?
Yeah, it's just been so strange over the last 5 years or so. Accountants are finally adopting the technology we've been begging them to adopt for a decade. And so I see that people are starting to embrace it more than they ever have before. And I think that that's just, we're at this point and we're really filtering through the technology, because now there's so many options and so many apps that I think we're in a phase of filtering. I think that's kind of where we are at this point.
And how do you see that role of that technology really shaping that future piece of, like, how do you think that all of these technologies, what do you think is going to happen? You're going to see a consolidation? You're going to see like best of breed kind of rise out of all of this, because accounts have a ton of options right now. And what is like one of the main decision factors for you guys and your firm to evaluate and decide on technology?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, the integrations are going to be critical. The ability to integrate and have one source of truth, or many sources of truth, but the data matches. I find that if they're not integrating, we're entering in one system over here, entering it over here, and it's a simple thing like Brolin, Dawn, or Dawn Brolin. And those types of mismatches cause duplications, excess data, and tough for us to kind of pull it all together. But I see technology being something that will help our firms grow without necessarily the need to hire, because we have to understand that there's exiting happening, mass exodus, and we don't have a lot coming in behind us. So we have to make some changes there in regards to, in my opinion, implementing and helping those young generation learn about the technology while they're in school, and that's not happening right now. I know this as a fact.
Absolutely, and one of the previous conferences that I was at, they really talked about, for the first time in the history of the CPA exam, it was not full, it wasn't blocked. There was not enough, and that's exactly leading into what you're talking about. Now, my next question as we dive into this, what would you say to one of those students graduating, coming out and saying, hey, I'm going to start my own firm? How would you tell them, what coaching would you give them to evaluate the technology in their practice?
Well, certainly I think there's lots of webinars. There's lots of ways for you to learn for free. Great platforms like CPA Academy, many other platforms where they can come and they can start to learn about specifically the technology. They're teaching them the accounting, they're teaching them the debits and the credits, but at the end of the day, how do those debits and credits flow into an actual accounting system? And that's something that I think we can help them with that process and that learning opportunity, because that's what they're going to need to know. They want to be on the go. They don't want to be stuck in a chair their whole life. Like, they want to be on the go, and the technology is going to allow them that flexibility to be on the go on a regular time.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, speaking of technology, obviously here from SmartVault, a little bit of a selfish plug here. SmartVault's been in your starting lineup forever. So, talk about that. When you made that decision, what was the transition like? What did you experience when you signed on to SmartVault all those years ago?
Yeah, certainly for me, it was all, I had young kids at the time, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to have to be stuck in a chair and going to an office and having this brick and mortar scenario.
Yeah.
I wanted to be able to be anywhere I was. I remember I did a video one time for SmartVault where I was literally on the beach, and a client had texted me and asked me a question, and I was able to go into their tax return, give them their AGI right from my phone, back to the beach I went. Now, I can always shut the phone off and not do that, but I didn't have to worry about am I going to take care of this tomorrow morning when I get there. I didn't want file cabinets. I didn't want to have the burden of paper, and I wanted the ability to move and travel whenever I wanted to. And I think that that's one of the key factors for me and why I initially first started loving SmartVault.
Yeah, and over the last several years, we've really added a lot of functionality to SmartVault and really kind of changing some of your workflows and stuff. I know I've worked with Tracy a little bit on our form filling technology to be pushing you into the next level. So how have some of those newer features that you guys have interacted with, the new interfaces and things like that, benefited you guys?
Yeah, so obviously we love the connected desktop. That kind of requires you to be at your desk, but the ability to do request docs, being able to request what we need from the clients, they natively come back into SmartVault. Of course, one of my very, very favorites is the 8879, where I'm sending it from SmartVault to DocuSign. This is Dawn Brolin's like regular, normal people talk. So sends it to DocuSign, they sign that 8879, and it pushes right back into their folder.
Boomerangs right back to you.
And I don't ever have to touch the document again. I'm just dragging and dropping a signature, off it goes. What I love the change you guys have recently made, I think it was probably in the last year, maybe less than that, I'm not even sure, but we send that 8879 into SmartVault, and then when it comes back, it identifies it as signed.
Yes.
So it gives that native, when did I put it in SmartVault, and then when did it actually return? It's an audit trail, great audit trail functionality.
Yeah, absolutely. And talking of the audit trail, like thinking about so much around the security. I mean, you see every single day, oh, I've been compromised here, I've been compromised there, and all these other areas. So when we think about that, how does that kind of play into some of the decisions that these newer accountants are going to jump into with regards to like choosing applications that are secure in cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important thing. You know, we've got Pub 4557 that came out about a year ago, almost a year ago, whatever, around a year ago, whatever. And so knowing that the FTC, the IRS are requiring us to have secure document storage, I want the clients to be able to access their information from anywhere. They're going to buy a house, grab your tax return. Don't ask me to print it. Don't ask me to email it to anybody. I'm not doing that for you.
Yeah.
But it gives them a secure way for them to be able to share or whatever with banks, for instance, or whatever. So, and we're able to help them if they want us to give them permission to get access to that.
Yeah.
But maybe they need a W-2 for whatever reason. All those kind of things. But it's secure. That's the most important thing, because all it takes, Daniel, is one breach.
One click.
One click, and I'm out of business.
That's right.
Because all it has to happen is to one client. Now you have to notify all your other clients, and now you have anarchy and chaos all over the place. So that, and I just rely on SmartVault to have that secure space for myself, but also the secure space for my clients, and I can sleep at night comfortably knowing that you have me covered.
And I think one of the other pieces about that, like in talking about empowering your clients, one of the things that SmartVault, selfish plug here, of what we have done, we have changed it to where the interface for your clients is now 4 buttons.
Exactly.
It is upload, view, and then if you've requested documents through request docs, at that point, you would have a 3rd button that says like, hey, answer those request lists. And guess what? Do you know what the 4th button is? It's a video on how to use the other 3 buttons.
Exactly.
And so when you're talking about like, hey, grab your own W-2, like, hey, empowering your clients, training your clients to be able to self-provide the documents that you have. It's a document repository for you and your firm, but it's also a document repository for them. So like you're saying, and they're looking to buy a house, they're looking to buy a boat,
Buy boats.
Buy boats.
It's a good idea.
Absolutely. Like that's the thing, is they don't have to bother you. And if you, like you said, if you are on the beach after tax season, and then that's the point when somebody gets a pretty good return and say like, look, I'm going to go ahead and go make that big purchase. You're on the beach in Mexico sipping on a Mai Tai.
Absolutely.
You don't have to like go down that path and say like, oh, well, let me go back to my room. Let me go open up the laptop. Straight from the phone, you can text them back and say, hey, here's a link to it. Or, hey, just go to your own SmartVault portal. It's going to be there.
Well, and one of the other things I love too is like thinking about folder structures. I love to talk about folder structures because it's a consistent way for people, not just the clients know where their stuff is, because it's consistent every tax year. It's in the same folder, their client tax returns always in the same folder. But for us as practitioners, if my tax partner Keith, I'm like, hey, I need you to go in, all the docs are there, they're ready to go. I'm at a conference for a week. Can you go in and prepare that return? He knows where to get, I don't have to email him a link. He knows where to go in SmartVault because we are so consistent with our folder structure.
Absolutely.
Our productivity is through the roof. I don't want to be busy during tax season.
That's right.
I want to be productive.
That's right.
So that, some of those things that really help guide us into that successful platform, SmartVault gives that to us.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for watching this. Dawn, you're always awesome. Thanks a lot.
Let's go, Daniel.
Boom,
let's go.